On the orders of the President of the United States, U.S. Central Command commences Operation Epic Fury.
I'm gonna shoot you right down.
This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
He reminded the world, as he has time and time again, being an American means something unbreakable. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it. Their war on Americans has become our retribution against their idol.
Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition to have nuclear weapons. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism that the world will not be able to touch them for fear of those things. This is the weakest they've ever been. Now is the time to go after them. The president made the decision to go after them, take away their missiles, take away their navy, take away their drones, take away their ability to make those things so that they can never have a nuclear weapon.
Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Boom, boom, boom.
Operation Epic Fury, airstrikes, naval attacks, cyber operations, and missile strikes. It's to stop Iran's nuclear weapons program. President Trump has said it over and over again. Iran does not need any nuclear weapons. The Trump administration reiterating that point. Here's Secretary Rubio with more on that.
The goals of this mission are clear, and it's important to continue to remind the American people of why it is that the greatest military in the history of the world is engaged in this operation. It is to destroy the ability of this regime to launch missiles, both by destroying their missiles and their launchers, destroy the factories that make these missiles, and destroy their navy. I think we are all seeing right now the threat that this clerical regime poses to the region and to the world. They are trying to hold the world hostage. They are attacking their neighbors. They are attacking neighboring countries, their energy infrastructure, their civilian population. They're attacking embassies. This is a terrorist government. This is a terroristic regime. And we are seeing them conduct terrorism using nation-state elements, using weapons like missiles and one-way attack drones. And the objective of this mission is to destroy their ability to continue to do that. And we are well on our way to achieving that objective every single day with overwhelming force, with overwhelming precision. The military, the United States military, the men and women in uniform are conducting an extraordinary operation. There are not a lot of cameras down there covering what they're doing, as opposed to some of the other images that you may see from some of the cities and capitals nearby. But I want everyone to know your military is getting the job done. And every single day, this regime in Iran has less missiles, has less launchers, their factories work less, and their navy is being eviscerated. And the world is going to be a safer and a better place when this mission is accomplished. And
Iran is being crippled at this hour. Senior regime and military leaders dead. Command and control is being disrupted. It's all being destroyed.
They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar. They have no telecommunications. And they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you know, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further. And we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. You know, these were ships, these were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off their ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%. and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do.
Following Operation Epic Fury closely is Sierra Claire, foreign policy expert. Sierra, we've been following this for quite some time. The big picture, this is now considered the largest U.S. military campaign against Iran in modern history. Iran has spent years, as we know, building underground and hardened facilities, and U.S. forces are finding them and bombing them still this morning. What's your take?
Right, Vanessa. Well, as you said, we've been covering this, and I talked about this with your audience a little bit last week, and I think that we're hearing, President Trump staying very much on track, staying committed to those operational goals. And he even said at one point that we are ahead of schedule. So I think Americans can view this operation as a huge success. And it really shows what our military can do when they're, given the support to do it. And in terms of Iran and what President Trump just said there about, it's up to us, the U.S. and the Trump administration, what we want to see from Iran next is exactly what he said. I hear a lot of people now. People were panicking that this was going to take too long. Now they're panicking it's not going to take long enough. President Trump is committed to these operational goals. And I highly doubt that the Iran regime, the current regime, is going to agree to his demands. But as he said, if there's an opportunity where they are going to agree to his demands, he's open to that. And so that just shows that this is about our military goals, and this is not about anything else that the liberal left media keeps trying to push into the agenda. And our government is sticking to the goals that they have set out for themselves.
You mentioned the timeline. Some say this could take weeks, even months. President Trump says we're ahead of schedule. Take a listen.
And missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out. We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here. In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe three times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with a situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years.
47 years, almost 5 decades. President Trump saying again that we are ahead of schedule, which is great news to everyone, the people here in America, also obviously the people in Iran, the women there as well. But it's up to them, Sierra, to choose their new leader. As President Trump has said, this is their time to make that change.
Absolutely. What people are confused when President Trump says we want to be involved is this is about our military goals of Iran not having a nuclear weapon. And that's what we're concerned about. We are leaving that country, open to the Iranian people, as President Trump in that very first clip that you played talked about, a chance for a generation. And so if we have a leader that we're working with that's talking about military goals and, keeping nuclear weapons off the table and all of that, the Iranian people may also choose their own leader, and that is up to them. And President Trump supports them in doing that. So I think that the time is coming. I just spoke to an expert last night, actually, who said that he's 100% sure that the Iranian people are going to come back out onto the streets when it's safe to do so. And, the bombing and stuff has calmed down a bit. But people are 100% sure that the Iranian people are going to come back out to the streets. So they have their own plan, and they're going to figure it out amongst themselves. And President Trump in the United States, of course, supports them in doing that. As you said, these women that have just been brutalized. I think there's so many people who can empathize with the Iranian people and what's been done to them by this awful regime.
Yeah, again, for 47 years living under a shield from them. We can't reiterate this enough. Nuclear weapons. President Trump has said for years that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. I want to take a quick look at what he said recently and then come back and let you listen to what he said years ago. So here's the first clip.
On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that.
So he just said that. He mentioned 2015, and that clip has surfaced. Here is that clip from 11 years ago. Listen.
I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And we won't be using a man like Secretary Kerry that has absolutely no concept of negotiation, who's making a horrible and laughable deal, who's just being tapped along as they make weapons right now.
There you have it. That was in 2015. The people of America voted for Trump 3 times, and they knew what they were voting for. So, Sierra, why all of this surprise now when Operation Epic Fury is well underway? You have the Democrats and some people on the right, some of these rhinos saying, what are we doing? What's going on? Like they're surprised that this is something new from President Trump.
Well, Vanessa, what is so shocking to me, everything you said is true. People knew what was going on with President Trump, where his positions and stances were on everything. If you go back to his first term, he bombed Soleimani. So people knew his style, that he will use military force when, the regimes or whoever is threatening America is not negotiating. But what's so shocking to me is that if you read Iranian regime propaganda, it is almost word for word what comes out of some of these people's mouths on the left, as you said, some people on the woke right too. And it's fine to have an opinion and to be against this war or to be against war in general or whatever people's personal opinions are. But I mean, if you're in media or if you are in politics at all, like you should have some sense not to just parrot Iranian regime propaganda. And I just think it's so irresponsible what people are doing. And really on the Democrat side, it's about wanting to see America lose, which I think is disgusting. America's winning, and we're winning at a lot of things, and now we're winning at this war.
Right. And I don't understand that either. People saying, oh, President Trump is putting Israel first. No, he's still putting America first. And Israel is one of our biggest, if not our biggest ally. And so you have the 2 strongest military forces in the world coming together to make sure that these terroristic regimes like Iran do not have nuclear weapons and cannot affect the rest of the world. But here in our homeland, the concern now, and has been for quite some time, is sleeper cells in the U.S. The president saying this.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under. We've got them. We're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Absolutely, because the Democrats aren't funding DHS right now, but Sierra, major cities, smaller communities, everyone is vulnerable to these sleeper cells who are just watching and waiting.
Absolutely. Well, and the Democrats, this shutdown is a problem, but the Democrats have been blocking our safety, from day one President Trump got in office by keeping him from deporting people. And as he said, we have so many people that we know are terrorists who came over the open border, Biden's open border illegally, who could be deported just for the simple reason that they're here illegally. And we're not waiting around for them to also commit a terrorist act, or we shouldn't be. And the Democrats are not allowing the Trump administration to do that. Now they've gone to this DHS shutdown. They are putting American lives at risk. And they want to blame President Trump and say, well, if there's an attack, it's because you started a war. As you heard in that first clip, we didn't start this war. You and I have talked about that. But America has the right to take any action we need for national security abroad or at home, and we cannot be held hostage by terrorist sleeper cells. That's why we have things like the FBI. That's why we have DHS. And so the Democrats' whole logic on that just doesn't make any sense at all, and it's very clear that they don't care about American lives.
Let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices started going up. Then we saw last night oil prices started coming back down. The Strait of Hormuz, a big thoroughfare for ships that are, carrying oil. 20 to 25% of the world's oil travels through the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump putting out a post just last night saying, let these ships go through. Almost, making not a threat, but a promise to them that if they continue to shut this down or mess with the strait, big consequences are ahead. I think we have a clip as well of President Trump talking about the strait. Let's take a listen.
As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very...
Yeah, so President Trump talking there just yesterday, Sierra, basically saying that these commercial tankers and vessels were concerned to go through the strait because of the hostile situation there, but making a demand that they better not play that game. That's his words when it comes to affecting oil, not just here in America, but all over the world.
Well, the first thing I'll say is that people have very short memories when it comes to Iran. And Iran threatens to close the Strait of Hormuz whenever they're unhappy with anything going on in the world, whether it be from the US or anybody else that they don't like. And actually ending that is better for oil trade, for the world's oil trade that can be predictable, that is not held hostage by a crazy radical terrorist regime. The second thing is that, as President Trump said, the United States Navy is there securing the area. There's now French naval ships as well who are offering to do escorts and sending naval assets down to the strait. And so you're seeing the world is, again, on board with President Trump taking this action to secure that strait, to secure a vital international shipping lane for oil and goods. And then what he said, about America versus other countries, that's also an important note. And it is affecting other countries. And I think that the Trump administration is very aware of that. They've taken actions to try to mitigate that for some of our allies like India. But America is asking for understanding from our allies around the world that while we're taking a vital national security action to protect our own people, and in many cases, other people as well, other Western peoples, give us some understanding for a short period of time. You might see spikes and drops and unpredictability in the market, but at the end of it, we're all going to be better off. And as he said, America is very well off, and the Democrats are trying to, again, push a propaganda about gas prices. But I can tell you here in California, our gas prices went up because Governor Newsom closed 2 of our oil refineries. So there is a lot more domestically that affects gas prices than this action ever will.
Yeah, and you're right. We're going to see a lot of up and down when it comes to volatility with the market and oil prices. We're seeing that already. We only have a short time left. I want to bring up Cuba. A lot of people are saying, Sierra, that Cuba may be next. What's your take on that?
I think that's absolutely true. President Trump's already been mentioning it. Cuba is in no place to push back on any of our demands. I'm for the friendly takeover, and I think the probability of that just goes up and up with every day that we have the successes we are having in Iran, because it's a message to the world to negotiate with us. But either way, President Trump even said maybe it won't be so friendly. So obviously there's options on the table for him in Cuba as well, just like there has been with Venezuela and Iran. And you're seeing him tackle these 47, 50-year long problems, and Cuba is right up there on that list. So I think it's definitely a priority for him.
And the people of Cuba, we've seen them and heard from them loud and clear. They're hoping that President Trump does come there like he did Venezuela and Iran, giving them some freedom. And we pray for that for the people of Cuba very soon, if he can do it. And if anybody can, he can. Let's talk about your Substack real quick. We have about 20 seconds left. I want to make sure that everyone is following you there and reading all of your great articles.
Yeah, I just published a new article that's up there talking about the US-UK relationship with relation to this Iran conflict. A lot of other coverage you can see on the Iran conflict. And I have a new podcast coming out tomorrow with another expert who's sharing some great historical background as well. You can find it at the 11 o'clock hour on YouTube or on my Substack.
Sounds good. Sierra, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Vanessa.